have a lot of food and be very, 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 very thankful, even if you didn't have a lot of food. Something that we should do, obviously, all the time. It's great that we have a special day to observe that, but obviously, we should always be in a thankful and grateful mindset all the time. And we're going to go ahead and start with a prayer of gratitude. I know that there are prayers of gratitude, and I always have problems, aid and assistance along obligatory prayer. Maybe I just need to go back and look at the contents. There are prayers of thanks, forgiveness. I need a prayer of forgiveness every day. Praise and gratitude. There we go. Okay, because I keep turning to create in me a pure heart. That's the prayer that I have said so often, that it kind of just opens up to that page. So let's say this prayer from Baha'u'llah. All praise, O my God, be to thee, who art the source of all glory and majesty, of greatness and honor, of sovereignty and dominion, of loftiness and grace, of awe and power. Whomsoever thou willest, thou causest to draw nigh unto the most great ocean, and on whomsoever thou desirest, thou conferrest the honor of recognizing thy most ancient name. Of all who are in heaven and on earth, none can withstand the operation of thy sovereign will. From all eternity thou didst rule the entire creation, and thou wilt continue forevermore to exercise thy dominion over all created things. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-wise. Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn unto the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself, and the dayspring of thine essence. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subduing. Baha'u'llah. And now, folks, today, of course, we are continuing with our book, The Proofs of Baha'u'llah's Mission. Now, last week, we actually covered two chapters, 16, 17, that were relatively short. One was about Baha'u'llah's character and personality. And the other is that the knowledge of the manifestation of God always possesses innate knowledge, which is really, pretty fascinating it's fascinating anyway. Let's face it, all of this is fascinating. But when you think about the fact that their innate knowledge also lets them know that they will go through suffering and they will go through hardship. And that is exactly what today's topic is about. It's chapter 18 on page 97 of the Proofs of Baha'u'llah's Mission. And the name of this chapter is He Endured Suffering and Hardship. He endured suffering and hardship. And all of our readings today are coming from Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha. So Daryl, if you'd be so kind.
I think it's important to point out here that he, in this case, could very well be a collective he, because every manifestation of God has endured suffering and hardship. And that's one of the marks of just being a manifestation.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I don't remember where it is, but somewhere in here, he actually uses a term in the plural as a reference to all the manifestations of God. So yes, it's actually there in the first sentence. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Moreover, consider the hardships and the bitterness of the lives of those revealers of the divine beauty.
There we go.
Reflect how single-handed and alone they faced the world and all its peoples and promulgated the law of God. No matter how severe the persecutions inflicted upon those holy, those precious and tender souls, they still remained in the plenitude of their power, patient, and despite their ascendancy, they suffered and endured. At the time when this great light suddenly arose upon the horizon of Persia, all the people, the ministers, The ulama and men of other classes rose against him, pursuing him with the greatest animosity and proclaiming that this man wishes to suppress and destroy the religion, the law, the nation, and the empire. The same was said of Christ, but Baha'u'llah alone and without support resisted them all, without ever showing the least weakness. At last they said, as long as this man is in Persia, there will be no peace and tranquility. We must banish him so that Persia may return to a state of quietude. They proceeded to use violence toward him to oblige him to ask for permission to leave Persia, thinking that this means that the light of his truth would be extinguished. But the result was quite the contrary. The cause became magnified and its flame more intense. At first, it spread throughout Persia only, but the exile of Baha'u'llah caused the diffusion of the cause throughout other countries. Afterwards, his enemies said, Iraq is not far enough from Persia. We must send him to a more distant kingdom. This is why the Persian government determined to send Baha'u'llah from Iraq to Constantinople. Again, the event proved that the cause was not in the least weakened. Once more, they said, Constantinople is a place of passage and of sojourn for various races and people. Among them are many Persians. For this reason, the Persians had him further exiled to Roumelia. But when there, the flame became more powerful and the cause more exalted. At last, the Persians said, not one of these places is safe from his influence. We must send him to some place where he will be reduced to powerlessness and where his family and followers will have to submit to the direst afflictions. So they chose the prison of Akka, which is reserved especially for murderers, thieves, and highway robbers. And in truth, they classed him with such people. But the power of God became manifested. His word was promulgated, and the greatness of Baha'u'llah became evident, for it was from this prison and under such humiliating circumstances that he caused Persia to advance from one state into another state. He overcame all his enemies and proved to them that they could not resist the cause. His holy teachings penetrated all religions, and his cause was established. Indeed, in all parts of Persia, his enemies arose against him with the greatest hatred, imprisoning, killing, and beating his converts, and burning and razing to the ground thousands of dwellings, striving by every means to exterminate and crush the cause. In spite of all this, from the prison of murderers, highway robbers, and thieves, it became exalted. His teachings were spread abroad, and his exhortations affected many of those who had been the most full of hatred and made them firm believers. Even the Persian government itself became awakened and regretted that which had arisen through the fault of the ulama.
Can I put in my 2 cents?
Of course, you can put in your 2 cents. In fact, you can put in 3.
You know, because you guys talk about the because of his suffering, because that is they have to go through a suffering because it's a manifestation of God. But to me, because of us, human is so evil that because the manifestation of God came, and then the human ourselves as evil so that's why it's the conflicts. Because of that, our evil come out, because the controlling, the selflessness, they don't want anything better than them. They don't want them, they lost control. So they kind of conflict.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that, because when we don't realize our own evil, then it will not change.
That's a
Right.
good
But
point.
because the God sent a manifestation, not just to reveal what God is to reveal who we are, how dirty and dark and
Excellent.
selfish. So when it's like you say, open a can of worm, all our worm came out.
Oh, wow.
All our dirtiness, but then we have to recognize that too, because without that, we don't recognize.
Yes.
So when we recognize, then what Christian said, we have to repent. When we repent, because I go through that, I went through that, so I know exactly, if God wants that time to open your eyes and your heart, and that's what happened, you have to see your ugliness, you have to see all the bad stuff, and then you're like, oh wow, I have to have a change.
Wow.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'd say that was much more than 2 cents. Worth more than 2 cents. Thank you. Couldn't decide what song to do. It was either this one or what were they thinking? There was a light shining in our cups. There was a light, it shone all around. A new revelation of God's loving guidance. One holy light, it lit up the night, the word streaming down. So many souls sharing a journey. So many souls seeking the light, hearing a voice whispering inside them, heeding the call, risking their all to do what was right. But so many tried to stop it from glowing. So many tried to put out that fire. But lovers of truth in this new dispensation knew they had found God's love come down. Their heart's desire, and there was a light shining in our cups. There was a light, it shone all around. A new revelation of God's loving guidance. One holy light, it lit up the night, the world streaming down. There was a light shining, it shone all around. A new revelation of God's loving guidance. One holy light lit up the night, a word streaming down. One prison cell made us so holy. word streaming down. One holy night, it lit up the night. The word streaming down. One holy night, it lit up the night. The word streaming down. Well, so I tell you, I mean, I hate to sound, I don't mean this to be vain, but
The Abha Beauty himself, may the spirit of all existence be offered up for his loved ones, bore all manner of ordeals and willingly accepted for himself intense afflictions. No torment was there left that his sacred form was not subjected to, no suffering that did not descend upon him. How many a night he was chained, did he go sleepless because of the weight of his iron collar? How many a day did the burning pain of the stocks and fetters gave him no moment's peace? From the Nayavarian to Iran, they made him run. He that embodied spirit, he who had been accustomed to repose against cushions of ornamented silk, chained, shoeless, his head bare, and down under the earth, in the thick darkness of that narrow dungeon, they shut him up with murderers, rebels, and thieves. Ever and again they assailed him with new torment, and all were certain that from one moment to the end, he would suffer a martyr's death. After some time, they banished him from his native land and sent him to countries alien and far away. During many a year in Iraq, no moment passed but the arrow of a new anguish struck his holy heart. With every breath, a sword came down upon that sacred body, and he could hope for no moment of security and rest. From every side, his enemies mounted their attack with unrelenting hate, and singly and alone he withstood them all. My pen is powerless to tell it all, but ye have surely been informed of it. Then, after 24 years in this most great prison, in agony and sore affliction, his days drew to a close. To sum it up, the ancient beauty was ever, during his sojourn in this transitory world, either a captive bound with chains, or living under a sword, or subjected to extreme suffering and torment, or held in the most great prison. Because of his physical weakness brought on by his afflictions, his blessed body was worn away to a breath. It was light as a cobweb from long grieving. And his reason for shouldering this heavy load and enduring all this anguish, which was even as an ocean that hurleth its waves to high heaven, his reason for putting on the heavy iron chains and for becoming the very embodiment of utter resignation and meekness was to lead every soul on earth to concord, to fellow feeling, to oneness, to make known amongst all peoples, the sign of the singleness of God, so that at last the primal oneness deposited at the heart of all created things would bear its destined fruit, and the splendor of no difference canst thou see in the creation of the God of mercy would cast abroad its rays.
Daryl, I haven't stopped you the whole time. I've done well today,
You
but I'm stopping you now because I'm begging you to please go back and start at and his reason for shouldering. And yeah, that's a lot. But and this is coming from Abdul Baha. This is in selections from the writings of Abdul Baha, his own son, who he is describing what Baha'u'llah went through.
Sure.
And it's not just that he's describing it, obviously, so gut-wrenchingly, but giving the reason for it. So if you would please,
Sure.
read
His
that once
reason
again.
for putting on the heavy iron chains and for becoming the very embodiment of utter resignation and meekness was to lead every soul on earth to concord, to fellow feeling, to oneness, to make known amongst all peoples the sign of the singleness of God, so that at last the primal oneness deposited at the heart of all created things would bear its destined fruit, and the splendor of no difference canst thou see in the creation of the God of mercy would cast abroad its rays.
Yeah. And who better to share what Baha'u'llah went through than Abdul Baha, because much of the time he was an eyewitness.
He was there with
He
him,
was
that's right.
there. So, hello, Suzanne and Sheila are with us today also. So yeah, that's, I mean, and again, I think it's very easy, in certain cases to dismiss the suffering of the manifestations of God as if, this is just, well, I have plenty of people that suffered. And I guess, for someone who I don't know, who doesn't have that, I don't even want to call it depth of vision. That's a little self-serving. But it's easy to trivialize it, I think, or at least minimize the importance of it. But here we're being told that all the manifestations of God go through great suffering. And this just happens to be.
Who put him in jail?
All of
The government.
Yes.
Not the
Government.
religion?
No,
No,
both.
the government.
The government and religious leaders.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was the government that did it. But it's like.
But it was at the
So
behest
it's like
of
like
religious leaders.
Christian is the Pharisee.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Okay,
Because
that's another point I want to point out, because I really want to strongly point out. Because nowadays, people think, oh, their religion is so great, I don't doubt all religion, the contents are good to most of religion, I should say, is supposed to be to spread the love of God. But I was talking to Tony yesterday, if you just care about the contents, but you forget about the original reason, which is the love of God, to try to save us, to get the good out of us, then means nothing. Just like that, the religion people and the government become one strong evil power to suppress God's manifestation.
Yes,
They have a content, but their evil heart.
that's such a good point.
And I know so many nice people. They're so lovely, so nice, and they hold on to the content of the Bible to point a finger, and it become, what is that called? It becomes people who want to know God and to see us like that, and then they don't want to know anything about
Because
God.
we are
Because
supposed to.
humans are not good without God's love.
That's
Yeah. We end up being a bad example of what we're trying to teach. And I just thought about a passage. It's just that there's a point somewhere, I believe it's in Gleanings, where Baha'u'llah actually points out that, and it's in prayer, that he is hurt most by those people who bear the name.
right.
I don't remember the line or where the passage is, but I believe it's in Gleanings. It might be in Prayers and Meditations, but he is hurt most by those people who bear the name and yet and this is my words, not the actual words from prayer, but bear the name, claim to be following the teachings of God, and yet they're a really bad example. Or at least they do more damage. That's a better way to put it. They do more damage than good as far as teaching the word of God. So,
And generally, that's because they have a certain amount of influence
exactly.
over a broad spectrum of the population.
Yes,
So-
yes.
And that's sad.
Let me see how we're doing.
So-
Okay, we're doing okay. We're doing okay, but would you like to
Okay,
continue?
this next section talks a little bit about how long this went on.
Mhm.
And it's incredible how long this went on.
Yes.
Baha'u'llah endured ordeals and hardships 60 years. There was no persecution, vicissitude, or suffering he did not experience at the hand of his enemies and oppressors. All the days of his life were passed in difficulty and tribulation. At one time in prison, another in exile, sometimes in chains. He willingly endured these difficulties for the unity of mankind. I'm going to say that again. He willingly endured these difficulties for the unity of mankind, praying that the world of humanity might realize the radiance of God, the oneness of humankind become a reality. Strife and warfare cease, and peace and tranquility be realized by all.
Mhm.
In prison, he hoisted the banner of human solidarity, proclaiming universal peace, writing to the kings and rulers of nations, summoning them to international unity and counseling arbitration. His life was a vortex of persecution and difficulty, yet catastrophes, extreme ordeals, and vicissitudes did not hinder the accomplishment of his work and mission. Nay, on the contrary, his power became greater and greater. His efficiency and influence spread and increased until his glorious light shone throughout the Orient. Love and unity were established, and the differing religions found a center of contact and reconciliation. The ancient beauty hath consented to be bound with chains, that mankind may be released from its bondage, and hath accepted to be made a prisoner within this most mighty stronghold, that the whole world may attain unto true liberty.
I do want to point out, Darrell, before you continue, that these are actually Baha'u'llah's words. Again, these are in gleaning, and these are in gleanings, and he's explaining. The number word he used the words consented. I'm
That's right.
letting this happen, and explaining why. So I just wanted to point that out.
He hath drained to its dregs the cup of sorrow, that all the peoples of the earth may attain unto abiding joy and be filled with gladness. This is of the mercy of your Lord, the compassionate, the most merciful. We have accepted to be abased, O believers, in the unity of God, that ye may be exalted and have suffered manifold afflictions, that ye may prosper and flourish. He who hath come to build anew the whole world, behold how they have joined partners with God, have forced him to dwell within the most desolate of cities.
Thank you, Baha'u'llah, oh glory of God. Thank you, blessed beauty from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Baha'u'llah. You opened my eyes, showed me the right way through your sacrifice. Ancient beauty, you accepted to be bound with chains, that mankind may be released from its bondage within a mighty stronghold. obtain unto true liberty. Thank you, Father, for your revelation, for lifting your voice up to all the nations. Sweet Bahá'í, you drain the cup of sorrow that all the people of the earth could have a better tomorrow. You accepted to be abased, that we might be exalted. Suffered so many afflictions, that we might prosper and flourish. You have come to build a new world, and I just wanna offer up my thanks from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Bahá'í. Thank you, Bahá'í. Thank you, Bahá'í. Oh, glory of God. Oh, glory of God. Oh, glory of God. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right. Wow, what time? Oh, that's good. We got good time. Well, folks, at this time, if there's anyone who would like to offer up a prayer or a reading or song of your own, this is that time. But of course, you know, I'm all caught up in the song because Daryl never played that with me before, except a little practice this morning, and I'm like, wow. And we have Mimi on percussion over here.
Let's just mess everything up.
Oh, no. But we're going to start, as always, with our Camby's moment. So Camby's, do you have something to share with us today? You're muted. You have to unmute. Still muted. Uh-oh. Now we can see. Now you're unmuted. Yes.
Without compassionate Lord.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Camby's, hang on for 1 second. What was that again, Suzanne?
She's ready.
Oh, it's Camby's going. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's going, and then we'll have your prayer.
O man of two visions, close one eye and open the other. Close one to the vault and all that is therein. And open the other to the hollow beauty of the beloved, of the beloved.
Thank you, Candice.
You're welcome.
Suzanne, please.
O my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord.
Thank you, Susan.
هوالبها ای طالب ملکوت به الطاف حضرت پروردگار امیدوار باش و از مصائب شدیده این جهان نومید مگر. الحمدلله خدای مهربان داری که طبیب هر بیمار است و غمخوار هر مبتلا پناه یتیمان است و معین بی کسان و بی نهایت مهربان. اگر بدانی که قلب عبدالبها چقدر مهربان است، البته از شدت فرح و سرور پرواز نمایی و فریاد و توبا به اوج آسمان رسانی. ولک البها لبها این.
Thank you, Gila. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
Religion is the greatest of all means for the establishment of order in the world and for the peaceful contentment of all that dwell therein. Should the lamp of religion be obscured, chaos and confusion will ensure, and the lights of fairness, of justice, of tranquility and peace cease to shine.
O my Lord, thou knowest that the people are encircled with pain and calamities, that are environed with hardships and trouble. Every trial doth attack man, and every dire adversity doth assault him like unto this assault of the serpent. There is no shelter and asylum for him, except under the wing of thy protection, preservation, guard, and custody. O thou, the merciful one, O my Lord, make thy protection my armor, thy preservation my shield. Humble us before the door of thy oneness, my guard, and thy custody and defense, my fortress and my abode. Preserve me from the suggestions of self and desire, and guard me from every sickness, trial, difficulty, and ordeal. Verily, thou art the protector, the guardian, the preserver, the sufficer, and verily, thou art the merciful of the most merciful. Abdul Baha.
Thank you, Joan, and thank you, Farah. Is there anyone else who'd like to share?
Sue Boyette put in the chat that her granddaughter was just born, so wanted to say congratulations to her and offer this prayer for her granddaughter and for any little children in our lives. O Lord, plant this tender seedling in the garden of thy manifold bounties. Water it from the fountains of thy loving kindness, and grant that it may grow into a goodly plant through the outpourings of thy favor and grace. Thou art the mighty and the powerful.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Anyone else?
Tony,
Yes.
there is a request on Facebook that Brenda Scott is requesting her daughter was shot yesterday, 14 years old, and she is asking for prayer.
Oh my goodness.
wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say, praise be God. He is God. All are his servants, and all abide by his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say, praised be God. He is God. All are his servants, and all abide by his bidding. Is there any remover of difficulties save God? Say, praised be God. He is God. All are his servants, and all abide by his bidding. Say, God sufficeth all things above all things, and nothing in the heavens or in the earth but God sufficeth. Verily, he is in himself the knower, the sustainer, the omnipotent. Wow. We pray that she pulls through that. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Well, let's keep praying for her. About 8 minutes left. So, yes, folks, it's that time that we always like to remind you that this is a joint effort, a joint community effort from several, or pretty much different communities in the Tampa Bay area. And Nini's pulling up the southern rear from South Florida. So we appreciate her help in all ways that she comes up and helps us out and keeps us on track. And if you are someone who would like to have more information about the Baha'i faith, there are some definitive websites that you can go to that we always like to recommend. And what are those websites, Daryl?
Those websites are www.baha'i.us, www.baha'iteachings.org, and www.baha'i.org. And if you happen to be, excuse me, if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, you can go to www.clearwaterbaha'is.org. Excuse Excuse me.
I think you turned us off. I don't know. Let's see, hang on. Hey, check the switch on that and see if it's on. She turned us off. She turned us off. There we go. Oh,
It was an accident.
yes, we still love you. We still love you. Well, well, most of the time we're pushing up against the clock so much. I mean, we only have a few minutes here, but probably better if I hit the right chord. Before we do that, you know, of course, this is that time of year where everyone is celebrating, you know, a variety of holy days and holidays, and it's just a wonderful time of year. As Baha'is, we have just a whole procession of just I want to say a plethora of holy days during this time of year. And of course, we've just celebrated, you know, if you're here in the States, we've just celebrated Thanksgiving, and Christmas is right around the corner. And I think it's a great time that we, of course, remind everyone of the importance of showing love for one another. It's something, obviously, it's great to have that uptick of love, but it shouldn't take a special time of year. I don't want to be the, you know, the Debbie Downer, but it shouldn't take a special time of year for us to be more aware of the importance of showing love to everyone and showing love to everyone. And so it came to mind because Daryl, remember, you always like to remind people of what?
That if you do nothing else throughout your days and throughout your weeks, share the love, spread the love everywhere you go. It's the one thing that is so easy to do. And most of us have no excuse for not doing it. So.
O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light, and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be a world embracing. Let your vision be a world embracing. Let your vision be a world embracing. Oh, yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surroundeth you. Let your vision be world-embracing, rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Daryl.
you.
Thank
and
you.
Tony.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here,
And
Allahu Akbar.
No.
thank you so much for doing that prayer in English. And I think that maybe you
Yes!
should version as well as in English and follow it up like that. That's just my suggestion.
Sure, no problem.
Because it's
I have to say,
beautiful.
Cambies, that got to me when I heard you doing that in English.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, because
It was
I mean, I love the passage anyway, but to hear you chant it, yeah, oh my goodness,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
wow. So I'm glad you said it, because I wanted to say something I had already forgotten about it, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So moving.
Ah.
Thank you, everyone.
Spread the love, folks. Take care.
Take care.
Prayers to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know what's going on with me today, man. Everything's getting to me today.